Creature features like Predator and Alien are some of the most beloved in the world of horror, not just because of their compelling characters and incredible action, but the remarkable design of their antagonists. But in many ways, how the monster is revealed is just as significant as the monster itself. Of course, introducing the monster is never easy. If the timing, special effects, or even lighting is off, the final result can be disastrous. But if the monster's grand reveal is pulled off perfectly, it stays with moviegoers forever. Speaking of revealing monsters, I'm Tilly from What Culture Horror, and these are 10 horror movies with the best monster reveals. Number 10. Pumpkinhead, Pumpkinhead. In Pumpkinhead, grieving father Ed Harley unleashes a demon onto the teens who killed his son. Recognizing the evil he's brought into the world, Ed has a change of heart and vows to send the dark entity back to hell. Since Pumpkinhead sounds like a Care Bears villain, nobody was expecting much from the titular monster. But let's not forget this film was the directorial debut of special effects master Stan Winston. Responsible for the mesmerizing animatronics in The Thing, Jurassic Park, and Aliens, Winston has a knack for drumming up terrifyingly lifelike creatures. Although Pumpkinhead's design is incredible, his reveal is extra memorable. With his Wolverine-like claws, towering height, pasty wet skin, and leering face, it's hard to think of a more intimidating movie monster than this roided-up xenomorph. Pumpkinhead's intro is further accentuated by the effective use of sound, or rather a lack of. Every time the demon is near, a slithering noise can be heard, which resembles the movements of spiders or snakes. But when Pumpkinhead appears on screen for the first time, he doesn't make a peep, catching the viewers completely off guard. Number 9. The enormous alien, Deadly Spawn. Move over Tremors, Deadly Spawn did the whole burrowing monster worm shtick nearly a decade earlier. This underrated indie opens with alien tadpoles crash landing on a small town. After making their nest in a dank basement, the extraterrestrials quickly evolve into multi-headed slugs with multiple rows of serrated teeth. As the creepy critters begin gobbling up the townsfolk, a boy called Charles takes it upon himself to destroy them. Although he manages to kill several of the carnivorous cretins, Charles deduces they'll keep coming unless he murders the queen. After he tricks the alien mother into swallowing a bunch of explosives, she blows up, seemingly ending the threat. Just as it looks like things are wrapping up, the hill beside Charles's home lifts up, revealing a mind-bogglingly sized spawn. For the record, the queen which Charles barely defeated was only 6 foot long. This beastie, on the other hand, is slightly smaller than a mountain. So, how does mankind defeat it? Well, they don't. The Titan lets out a defiant roar just before the screen cuts to black and the credits roll. Because there was no sequel, it's safe to say things didn't end well for humanity. Number 8. Pyramid Head, Silent Hill. Until fairly recently, it seemed like movies adapted from video games were destined to suck. Having said that, there's been a few bright spots over the years, including Silent Hill. It may have been panned upon release, but this adaptation of Konami's survival horror series quickly became a cult classic. Not only was Silent Hill a proper scarefest in its own right, gamers were fairly impressed by how faithful it was to the source material. No aspect of the movie demonstrates this fact better than the franchise's most iconic figure, Pyramid Head. Regarded as among the most unsettling characters in gaming, many suspected the film would fail miserably to capture the helmeted monster's menace. Boy, were we wrong. When Pyramid Head first appears with his rusted sword scraping across the floor, it's impossible not to feel a chill run down your spine. Although viewers can become desensitized after seeing a movie monster multiple times, Pyramid Head never loses his power, since viewers are left quaking in their boots every time he re-emerges. Number 7. The Doppelganger, Lake Mungo. Lake Mungo is a quote-unquote documentary which details the tragic drowning of 16-year-old Alice Palmer. Although her demise is ruled as an accident, her family start experiencing supernatural events, urging them and the filmmakers to dig into Alice's past, where they uncover her double life. The paranormal occurrences are initially spooky, but are soon proven to be hoaxes. After this point, everyone involved in the doc is justifiably skeptical anytime there are mentions of ghosts or people communicating with the dead. Because of this, people are completely thrown off by that moment. While looking through Alice's phone, the family discovers a video of her walking through Lake Mungo, where she sees a mysterious figure. As the footage freezes, it's clear the person who approaches Alice is her own doppelganger. But this figure doesn't just look like Alice, she is the spitting image of her corpse, right down to her bloated face and closed right eye. This moment is never explained, but seems to symbolise Alice knew she was destined to die soon. Although there are plenty of supernatural moments in Lake Mungo that can be explained away, there's no rational way to interpret this encounter. Number 6. The Mother, Barbarian. In Barbarian, strangers Tess and Keith realise they have double booked at a rental house. With nowhere else to go, the two reluctantly decide to stay. After discovering a secret chamber in the cellar, Keith heads through, where he finds a vast tunnel. When Tess hears him screaming, she dashes down, where she sees Keith crawling in pain. Before they have a chance to escape, a naked woman credited as the mother lunges from the darkness and crushes Keith's skull. The mother's introduction is incredibly effective for two reasons. Firstly, rather than lingering on her, the scene cuts away immediately after she smashes Keith's head to a pulp. Transitioning the scene during the scariest moment without explanation leaves viewers utterly fraught. Even though the next few scenes aren't frightening, viewers are left on edge, still trying to process what they just saw. The other reason why the mother shook viewers is because nobody had an inkling what she would look like. Barbarian's trailers and promos gave nothing away, so viewers didn't know if the creature lurking under the house was a werewolf, demon, ghost, vampire, alien, or in this case a malformed inbred monstrosity. Number 5. Kayako, Ju-on, the Grudge. In Ju-on the Grudge, Katsuya Tokunaga and his family move into their new home, which formerly belonged to the Saekis. The Tokunagas were unaware that the Saekis were murdered in a rage, causing them to be reborn as murderous Onryo ghosts. The most notable of these spirits is Kayako, who is constantly performing a deeply unnerving death rattle. Upon slaying her first few victims, Kayako remains unseen, since she takes the form of a shadow. Only when she murders Katsuya's sister Hitomi do viewers get their first glimpse of the enraged phantom. After Hitomi leaves her brother's cursed home, she's unaware that Kayako followed her home. When Hitomi learns that Kayako is pursuing her, she hides in bed. Suddenly, the blanket rises up, implying there's something in bed with her. Looking under the sheets, Hitomi is greeted by Kayako's vacant expression. After letting out her iconic death rattle, Kayako kills Hitomi by seemingly absorbing her into the bed. As freaky as this moment is, it hits harder in hindsight since Hitomi's body is never found. Unlike most of Kayako's victims who return themselves as Onryos, Hitomi vanishes off the face of the earth. Number 4. Deborah, the Taking of Deborah Logan. The Taking of Deborah Logan opens with filmmaker Mia prepping her Alzheimer's documentary. Initially, Mia's film crew intend to record the day-to-day activities of Deborah Logan, who has been diagnosed with dementia. But after Deborah performs superhuman acts, her daughter, Sarah, and Mia suspect she's been possessed. Upon further research, Mia discovers Deborah is being mind-controlled by a deceased Satanist who plans to transfer his essence into a younger body. After Deborah kidnaps a cancer-riddled girl called Kara, she ventures into the mines, hoping to complete the ritual. As Sarah locates her possessed mother, Deborah snarls at her, dislocating her entire lower jaw like a snake. Upon this sight, it's obvious the Satanist has complete control over Deborah's body and mind. But it gets worse. After Sarah and Mia momentarily lose Deborah, they search through every cavern to find her. After cornering her, they are utterly horrified to see Sarah's mother gorging on the young girl, with Kara's entire head engulfed down Deborah's throat. Although The Taking of Deborah Logan has its fair share of disturbing content, this shot is pure nightmare fuel. Number 3. The Shark, Jaws. It's baffling how mediocre horror films focus on cramming in as many scares as possible when Jaws proved less is more nearly 50 years ago. Because the shark animatronic kept malfunctioning throughout production and admittedly looks a little janky, Steven Spielberg kept the man-eating beast's screen time to a minimum. This decision worked out beautifully, since it made every appearance of our toothy friend count, especially their debut. At the movie's halfway point, Chief Brody chucks Chum into the sea, hoping to get the nasty fishy's attention. Because this sequence is in broad daylight and the camera is focused on Brody, nobody sees it coming when a 25-foot-long great white bursts to the surface, baring its gnashing teeth. Just to ensure this scene is seared in viewers' minds forever, it concludes with Brody delivering the movie's best line, "You're going to need a bigger boat." Ironically, this moment proved to be too shocking for some. When an early cut of Jaws was shown to an audience, they were so frightened by the shark's appearance they missed Brody's one-liner. As a result, Spielberg extended the sequence so there was more time between the shark popping out and Brody speaking. Although there's been plenty of great monster reveals over the years, Jaws is among the few that proved to be so effective the filmmakers were forced to tweak the entire scene. Number 2. Crawlers, The Descent. Even though Neil Marshall has had an incredibly diverse career, there's no question The Descent is the British filmmaker at the top of his game. After nearly 2 decades, the creature feature has lost none of its bite due to its claustrophobic atmosphere and bone-chilling tension. But if anything stands out, it has to be the crawlers. Viewers who haven't revisited The Descent since its release should still remember the outright fear they felt when these subterranean humanoids appeared. About 40 minutes in, our ensemble discover a den composed of hundreds of animal skeletons. As they start screaming for help, a crawler reveals itself before killing one of the characters. Rather than appearing with some big fanfare, the carnivorous cave dweller pops into shot with no warning. What really sells this moment is the fact the actresses hadn't a clue what the monsters looked like prior to filming, so if you thought the characters looked genuinely terrified during this scene, that's because they weren't acting. Although the crawler's design is not exactly spectacular, the way they reveal themselves is among the greatest jump scares in the history of cinema. Number 1. Moder, The Ritual. In The Ritual, Luke and his mates head to Sweden to pay their respects to their recently murdered friend. After venturing into the wilderness, they discover Nordic runes, a headless effigy, and other things that figuratively tell them to get the hell out of there. When things look like they couldn't get worse, the 4 friends discover a creature is hunting them. So little is revealed about this entity, it's impossible to guess what it looks like. Because this monster is built up for so long, you'd think it couldn't really live up to those expectations. But when Luke comes face to face with this eldritch behemoth, viewers know exactly what he's feeling, since they themselves experience the same level of fear and awe. This Jotnar, that is known as Moder, has a towering elk body, plant-like exterior, and jagged vertebra jutting out of her spine. Instead of a head, she has a decapitated torso with antlers for arms. However, the most disturbing thing is how Moder has a cloaked figure with glowing eyes and humanoid hands jutting out of her crotch. And that's our list. What monster reveal was your favourite? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and swing on by our channel again if you want to catch more creepy content. I've been Tilly and this has been What Culture. Thank you so much for watching and look after yourselves. Until next time.